my name is Barbara Leland, and I am a certified holistic health coach in Huntington Beach, and I do the healthy eating classes here at Hoag Cancer Center. And last week we talked about eating healthy over the holidays and other healthy things that you can do to help mitigate the pitfalls that we could have during the holiday season. Today what we're going to do is take one of those concepts, which is changing out some of the foods we eat, and making a recipe that is traditionally pretty heavy into something that is, I won't say it's light, but it's healthy. It's healthy enough that you could have it for breakfast, and that's always like my criteria. Is it healthy enough for that? Then yes. Okay, so let's talk about, we're going to talk about the ingredients that we're going to be using today. So first let's talk about the traditional filling. The traditional pumpkin pie. We've got, of course, pumpkin, but then we've got butter, sugar, eggs, cream, spices. That's just in the filling. Then in the crust, we have more butter, more sugar, and white flour. In the revised pumpkin pie, we have the filling has pumpkin again, but instead of the other ingredients, it has cashews, coconut oil, dates and maple syrup, and spices again. In the crust, we have, instead of the flour, the sugar, and the butter, or shortening, we have walnuts, pecans, coconut, more dates, and flax seeds. So you can see the comparison of the ingredients. Hands down, this one is much healthier. And the other one, the traditional, that's if you're making it yourself. If you're buying a pumpkin pie from Costco or any other of the places where we buy our pumpkin pies from, their ingredients may not be as nice as the ingredients that you're using. So let's talk about what they have in common, and well, they're both delicious. But they both have health benefits, as a matter of fact, even the one that is traditional. So the pumpkin, that's in both of them, that's packed full of vitamins and minerals. It has vitamin A, B2, C, E, copper, iron, manganese, potassium. And then the spices is cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cloves, allspice, and cardamom. And those items are antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, immune boosting. And remember that we've talked about this before, that Ceylon cinnamon also helps the body process sugar. And before we move on, I want to tell you that the pumpkin also has manganese, which is, it's good for your brain, it's good for your nervous system, it's antioxidant, it helps control your blood sugar, it helps metabolize nutrients and cholesterol and carbs. And then magnesium in the dates is, it helps your blood pressure, it helps for diabetes, it helps for type 2 diabetes, it helps for depression and sleep. So people generally only get about 50% of the magnesium that we need. So you want to up the foods that are containing magnesium, because it's very important. So now, sorry, I got ahead of myself. So here are the benefits of the revised pie. We have the cashews, walnuts, pecans. They contain the vitamins E, B6, niacin, and folate. Magnesium, there we're talking about magnesium. Iron, zinc, calcium, potassium, and healthy fats. Then we have also, by the way, the flax seeds in there also, I didn't list that, but they also contain omega-3s and healthy fats. And then the dates have the iron, like I was saying, the iron, potassium, copper, magnesium, and B vitamins. And potassium, by the way, is very good for your blood pressure. Because the pumpkin has vitamin C and you're getting some dates from the iron, if you remember a couple of our seminars back, we talked about how vitamin C helps your body process iron and absorb it. So that's good too. And the revised pie has no refined sugar, no cholesterol, and no white flour. So now why don't we get cooking? So what we're going to do today, and if you have your recipe, you can follow along, or maybe you're cooking along. Today's we're going to make a little bit of noise using the food processor, which is noisy, but we're going to I'm using, as I said, walnuts or pecans. I decided to use both. So I'm using both walnuts and pecans raw, not roasted, not salted, not sweetened. Put that in the food processor. The dates, I'm using medjool dates because they are a little sweeter, they're a little caramely, they're very delicious, and you can use other dates as well, but these are the ones that I choose to use for this pie. So I soaked them for about 15-20 minutes in warm water, and that just softens them up. Even though they're fresh dates, they still get a little hard, so you want to soften them up a little bit. And then I have unsweetened coconut, and the unsweetened shredded coconut goes in. And flax seeds, I have 2 tablespoons. You can put more if you like. It won't hurt, or you can omit it. You do get benefits from the flax seed, but if you don't have them on hand, don't worry about it. But I put the little bit of salt in here as well, so we'll have the flax seeds and the salt. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to grind that up until it becomes a nice sticky mess. And I'm sorry in advance for the noise. And you want to check that, still not ready. So you might want to smush down the sides. And then do it again, give it another whirl. You want something that's going to hold together because this is going to be your pie crust, and it's going to stick to the bottom of your plate, and so you want it to be nice and cohesive. And so what we have here, so if you can see that, I don't know. You can zoom in a little bit. What we have is we have something that's holding its shape. It's holding its shape when I smash it. And so that's ready. That's how I know it's ready. I know that it's going to hold its shape and become the pie crust. So then we're just going to And this is fun if you ever like to play with Play-Doh or clay. You can get a little bit of therapy going here because you're just going to smash it down, smash it down, smash it down. I could have ground this up a little bit more. I do still see some nuts here, but that's okay. It'll still be delicious. And as long as it sticks together, that's really what you want. And it may or may not go all the way up the sides of your pan. It depends on the size pan you're using. I think this is a 9-inch. But it doesn't need to. Just as long as you've got the bottom covered and then it comes up a little bit on the sides. And then try to make it so that, smash it down as much. You can feel if it's bumpy. So try to make it so that it's a smoother, not smooth, you're still going to feel nuts, but I mean even is the word, not smooth. And then make it so that it's nice on the edges. Again, that doesn't matter either because your pumpkin's going to cover it. So it's nice and smashed down. Oop. So there you go. That's looking good. And then now what I'm going to do is, usually I would wash this out, but I'm just going to wipe it and start making the pie. That should be good enough. It won't be, it'll have a little bit in there, but it doesn't matter. The thing about the recipes I do is nothing ever matters. They're forgiving. I'm not a very exact cook, so I like recipes that go with the flow. All right, so now we're going to make the filling for the pie, and the ingredients for the filling is 2 cups cashews. So kind of funny story. I woke up this morning at 1:15 and I realized I hadn't soaked the cashews. So I ran downstairs, soaked them, and they soaked for 12 hours, so they were fine. And that's what you want. 8 to 12 hours is good for soaking the cashews. And the reason you're doing that is to get them soft enough to blend up nicely with the pumpkin, okay? So 2 cups of cashews soaked overnight. They're going to increase in size when you soak them. Doesn't look like 2 cups, it looks like a lot more, but it is 2 cups. It's just that they've been soaked. Okay? If you have questions during this demonstration, go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll get to them afterwards. Then the 1 can of pumpkin puree. So another funny story, kinda, is I forgot the pumpkin puree today. I made it out of fresh pumpkins, which, by the way, if you have an Instant Pot and you want to cook one of these pie pumpkins, it's super easy. You put the trivet in your Instant Pot. You put about a cup of water, put the pumpkin in, and then I can't remember the amount of time I used. I think it was like 15 minutes that you do it at high, and then I let it sit natural release. And you have beautiful pumpkin. Anyway, I forgot it. So Andrea, thank you if you're watching, was sweet enough to run out and get me some. So thank you. Okay, then we want to put in the coconut oil. This time, for many recipes, we have to melt the coconut oil, but in this one we don't have to. So just half a cup of coconut oil. And then more dates. And again, I soaked these also for about 15 minutes. This is 8 dates, I believe, right? Yeah, 8 dates, pitted. Medjool dates, pitted. And you see they become nice and plump and when you soak them, and soft. Okay. Then, now, so far we haven't used any sugar, right? But we are now going to use some maple syrup. 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. That's all. And believe me, it's sweet enough because we're using the dates. And remember, I think it was 2 seminars ago that we talked about sugar and how it processes in your body, and how dates, because it's the whole fruit, you're getting all of the ingredients, the fiber and everything that helps your body process the sugar. Maple syrup, not so much. So, if you're diabetic, you got to watch the maple syrup. But at least it's a whole food. It's not a processed sugar. It's just the syrup from the tree. Okay, maple syrup. And then we're going to do 1 tablespoon, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And the sea salt and the pumpkin pie spice I combined in here. And that's 2 tablespoons of pumpkin pie spice. If you don't have pumpkin pie spice, you can use cinnamon, nutmeg, a combination of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, whatever you have on hand. Really, the cinnamon's like one of the most important. Cinnamon and the nutmeg are the most important as far as taste-wise. And then the ginger really, really adds a little bit of a zing to it. And let's see, also there's cloves and cardamom. So it's nice if you have the pumpkin pie spice, but if you don't, you can substitute. All right, then we're going to grind this up until it's nice and smooth. So because we have the nuts in here, it's going to take a bit. So again, I apologize for the noise, but here we go. I always start on low first, just to get things stirred up, and then I go to high. And you're going to do this until you don't see the nuts on the sides. And we may have to push it down. So you can see, I think, how that's incorporating. We're going to push this down and do it some more, but I just want to show you how that is incorporating, and the nuts are being pulverized. Okay, and it helps because they've been soaked. Oh gosh, it smells delicious. Again, where's that smell-o-vision? Just getting the stuff off the sides, and then we'll go for it again. Just see one little errant nut that doesn't want to grind. And for those of you with a Vitamix, this probably is an easier process. This is a good food processor, but the Vitamix is, incredibly good. So at home, I would do this a little bit smoother, but for time's sake, I just want to show you. This is pretty smooth. Okay, good. All right. So now that's it, really. I mean, that is all you do. So it's a pretty easy recipe, not too many crazy ingredients. And you're just going to put that into your crust. And, just make sure when you do it at home that you do it so that your dates are ground up. You're going to have a little bit of nuts left, but that's okay because the texture gives it interest. It's pretty smooth, but the texture gives it a little bit of interest. And I just want to get all of the deliciousness because it is, really, really good. Oh, I can just use my hands. And this pumpkin is it's like a soup, they don't call it a superfood, but I think it's kind of a superfood. All of the ingredients that the nutrients that the pumpkin has, and now you have a pie that has, no processed sugar, no cholesterol, no white flour. So you're going to be eating things on Thanksgiving that may or may not be, and Christmas, that may or may not be as healthy as you'd like. I mean, we just know that's going to happen, right? But if you can change some of those things so that you're getting nutrients and you're not getting things that work against you. It's not just the nutrients, because some of you're going to get nutrients in other items that you eat too, even if they're not as healthy. But you want to try to limit the things that are going to work against you. And this pie really does that. So you've got all the goodness of it and none of the not so goodness. Thank you. Okay. And again, this is more texture than usually I have. I just didn't do it long enough. But I don't think you really wanted to hear that food processor anymore. And then you can make it smooth on top. For those of you who like to have whipped cream, you can, and if you want to keep it vegan, you can make whipped cream out of coconut cream, and it's quite delicious. And you can Google, there's tons of recipes for coconut whipped cream, and it's really quite delicious. And then you have whipped cream without the saturated fat, without the cholesterol. Coconut does have saturated fat, but not cholesterol. Okay, so that's it. That's how you make this pumpkin pie. And then you stick it in the freezer. You just stick it in you cover it with wrap, and then you stick it in the freezer, and you leave it frozen for at least 4 hours, I think. Yes, 4 hours. And then when you're ready to serve, you take it out at least a half an hour before you're ready to serve. And it depends on how cold your room is. If you've got the fireplace going and you've got the heater on, half an hour should be fine. But if you're at Hogue, half an hour may not be fine because it's cold in here. So we have a pie that I took out of the freezer, and it's been defrosting for about 45 minutes. And it is cuttable, okay? So it is cuttable. It's still frozen though. But you can see how it's after about 45 minutes of being in the freezer, I can still get the knife through it, but you're not going to want to serve it quite this frozen, okay? And also, did you notice the difference in the way the color of the pie, the traditional compared to this one? So remember, the traditional you're baking. This pumpkin has been cooked, but then it's not baked after that. So you're getting a little bit more enzymes as well than you would with a traditional pumpkin pie. So that's it, and I'm going to see if there's any questions, and I see there are. Do you have a recipe for whipped cream substitute? Yeah, I do. I have a recipe for coconut cream, and if you like that, then contact me at 2life-2health@hotmail.com, and I can help you out with that. Is there any way to get more information about recipe swapping for better nutrition? Absolutely. I am planning to do some holiday programs for recipe swapping, and I'll be sending the information out about those programs probably within the next week. So if you want to go to my website, www.2life-2health.com, there should be a thing that says sign up for my newsletter, and then you'll get the information about that. So yeah, that'll be coming out probably next week. Can we eliminate using salt? Yes, you can. You do not have to use the salt. There's no baking process here, so you don't have to worry about the chemistry of the salt and how it affects your baking. It's really just for the, like how butter has salt in it, and so the butteriness when you use salt in these items. It gives a little bit more similarity to the butter. Okay, but you don't have to use salt at all. How much flaxseed powder instead of flax seeds? Well, you could use 2 tablespoons of flaxseed powder. It doesn't matter. The flaxseed, you can go higher, you can go lower. I don't like flaxseed powder as much as I like to use whole flaxseed because it oxidizes, and I want it to be, when it's ground, it oxidizes. So I want it to be as fresh as possible. But if you're using flaxseed powder and you're keeping it maybe in the freezer, I hope, so it's staying more together, then use 2 tablespoons. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Is coconut oil healthy? Coconut oil has had a huge following in the past few years. And is it healthy? Well, is it healthy compared to butter? Yes. Is it healthy? I am not sure. I do not use coconut oil like some people suggest. You put it in your coffee and you take a spoon of it and you do this. I use it on my body a lot. I use it for cosmetics. But as far as for cooking or eating, I use it when I have recipes that would use butter as a no cholesterol option. But is it healthy? I'm reserving judgment on that. I do not think that it is still a saturated fat, and there's just some issues about is it okay or isn't it okay. Some people say it is everything, but I say it's not necessarily. What is the purpose of the cashews other than for health reasons? Oh, that makes the pie creamy. So when you want to make a cream, a vegan cream of some sort, like when you're making a vegan soup and it's a creamy soup, you can do the same thing with the cashews. You soak the cashews, let them get very soft, soak them overnight, and then you blend them up with a little water and you have a cream. And you can use that instead of cream for what kind of soup do we put cream in? Mushroom soup. Mushroom soup, you can use cashews instead. A cauliflower cream of broccoli soup, you can do it with cashews. So that's the benefit of the cashews, not just for the health reasons. Can you use coconut sugar in place of maple syrup? I don't know, because there is coconut nectar. If you want to use coconut nectar in place of maple syrup, you could do that. I don't know that I would use coconut sugar because you're going to have more graininess here, and it's not going to melt. There's nothing to melt it. You're not cooking it. So I wouldn't use coconut sugar in this recipe. What about honey in place of maple syrup? Yes, you can use honey in place of maple syrup, definitely. Thank you for asking that. That's a good substitution. And then, do you have any idea of the calorie count per slice approximately? Oh, a lot. Yeah, a lot. It is not a diet food, but is it less than the pumpkin pie that you'd be eating traditionally? Probably. It may not be, but how it processes in your system is so different that the calories are calories. But this pumpkin pie, although not low calorie, is going to process in your system much differently. So, sorry, I don't know the calorie count. If you're eating pumpkin pie, don't count calories that day. Is there any other cholesterol in the pie? No, there is no cholesterol in this pie. The only place you'd be seeing, that you would think would be cholesterol would be the coconut oil because of the saturated fat. But there is no cholesterol in coconut oil. And coconut oil has also been known to increase good cholesterol, and it has no added cholesterol. So for that, again, back to is coconut oil healthy? It's healthier. It's a lot healthier than butter. So, are there any other questions? Okay, so then we will not be here in December. We're taking December off and coming back in January. and I don't remember the date, but we're coming back in January, and you'll be getting notices about that probably the first week or so of January. So thank you for being with me, and have a nice holiday season. And if you have questions, remember you can contact me at 2life-2health@hotmail.com, or visit me on my website at okay, thank you. The dates for the January seminar are January 21st and January 28th. Okay, thank you so much. And so you can contact me at 2life-2health@hotmail.com, or go to my website at www.2life-2health.com. Okay, thank you so much. Bye. Have a nice holiday.